Ronnie was forced to make a group call to the gallery owner and event organisers about delaying the next planned storytelling exhibition by a couple of weeks, very reluctantly telling them he would replace the already set date with his younger cousin's exhibition of sexually charged and edgy drawings of mutant female octopuses she had been waiting to share the story of for so long. Jesus Christ, Ronnie, I thought you said the very reason you didn't tell your cousin she could do it outright is because it was awful and no one should see it, said the gallery owner. I can't have that shit in my gallery. You know it could be genuinely career damaging, right? I know I said that, but she's gotten better, lied Ronnie. I've taken a look back over some of her old sketches and they're pretty good. She's got something. I was being harsh the first time just because she needed further training. It's bad enough you wanted to wait a day before we actually open the bloody thing to get the photographs in and set everything up, said one of the organisers. And we still don't even know who's doing this for us. We're signing cheques for a man we've never met and you seem to be enabling his disorganised behaviour. Now he wants another 2 weeks and you're acting like we're not getting thrown down into a gutter of embarrassment. It's not that bad, right? Said Ronnie. You know how I am and always have been with these things. My cousin's actually got it, she's got it. My client needs more time to make the show better, he needs it. This is going to benefit us in the long run. It's going to benefit us. Stop chatting a load of shit, you Benfleet twat, said the other organiser in her thick Irish accent. See, now that's the xenophobia I'm talking about right there, said Ronnie. You think just because I'm from and live in this cute little Essex town that bad stuff's going to happen? Nah, that's not how it works, sunshine. Don't speak to my partner like that, said the first organiser. You're in the wrong here. Yeah, take it easy, Ron, said the owner. Nah, listen to me, yeah, said Ronnie. You've all trusted me to do this. To be entirely clear, this is a side project for me. Imagine the shit I'm working on not relating to this, that one of my most important clients is a side project at the moment that I got yous lot to take on with me. We're all in this too deep and the people are expecting a good little day-long show, so we better give it to them. We're treating this as a whole reverse expectations journey where they get half price if they've already paid and anyone they tell to come pays full price. Half price! Yelled the Irish organiser. You're off your fucking nut! It's either get small or go home, old chap. There was a silence. You better be sure about this, Mr. Kurtzman, said the first organiser. Just get your stupid cousin's art student drawings to that gallery tomorrow! The two organisers hung up, leaving Ronnie to let out a long, deep sigh before trying to abruptly end the call on his end. Hey, wait, okay? Yelled the owner. Do speak, said Ronnie very casually. Who the hell exactly is this guy, Ronnie? You do this last minute shit a lot, but you've never done something like this. If this doesn't pay off, we're both probably going to get a few bad names here and there from those two pricks. Who exactly are we dealing with? Ronnie paused. He knew full well it was too late for anyone to back out of this deal, but he also knew the experience would be all the more pressing and infuriating, and he knew he would be badgered constantly if he refused to answer. Ronnie had put himself into a corner, and he knew honesty would ultimately be the best way to slide out. Tyler Jones, the journalist, said Ronnie. Another pause that was soon followed by a long, deep, growling sigh. Oh God, are you fucking kidding me right now? Yelled the owner. I get to have that piece of shit display his work like the proud, angry, smug little bastard he is and act like he deserves to have some kind of career back! Man's got to make a living, geez, come on. I've known him for a long time and he's still got it. People aren't going to find out that he's involved! Not even on the day! As far as I know, this is still a John Doe situation and any photograph with the author's commentary is signed anonymously. Do you understand? Yeah, alright. Good! Just keep me posted. The owner hung up. Ronnie, for the first time in a long time, leaned back into his chair and verbally expressed all feelings of rage, irritation, and humiliation he felt as a businessman at that moment. He was only now just remembering the warning he was given by everyone around him that entering any kind of business relationship with Tyler Jones, let alone a personal one, was going to be hell due to the ex-journalist's erratic, sudden, and beyond impulsive approach to any project, and how a man obsessed with getting any story told, no matter what it was, like a stone-cold predator, could never fully be reformed. "Fuck you, Tyler," Ronnie muttered to himself. The extra time Tyler had been given was hell for him internally. Surviving on his regular diet of cigarettes, whiskey, chips, and microwaved frozen food, his cravings for telling a story based on how his cynical mind perceived it was undying. He ignored call after call from Ronnie as he stared at the car from his balcony with sunken, bloodshot eyes from his lack of sleep. When he wasn't watching the car from his flat, Tyler was ordering a box of chips from the cafe restaurant and staring at it while sitting on the wall by the beach, desperately waiting to see if the woman would return. Although he had his camera on him, he never once took a picture of the car. Whenever he went back to the photographs he last took, there was still nothing new to be found within them, leaving him unsatisfied and cold inside. It was after a week exactly that Tyler finally saw some progress in the photographs. A tinge of colour and the extremely faint, ghostly images of someone began to fade in. Still unsatisfied, Tyler spent another day obsessing over the car, falling asleep upright while sitting on the wall in the freezing cold, as he was intently watched by a man ordering fish and chips from the cafe. "What's that Jones doing over there?" asked the customer. "Oh, you recognise him too, eh?" said the lady. "Yeah, he's my neighbour. He's been acting like a fruitcake recently. First he yelled at himself and kicked his balcony fence. Then he's been standing and sitting there just staring at the road for the last few days. Guess he's been looking at that car. Horrible thing. Well, one can guess that after so many years of obsessing over other people's lives, you start to go a little mad as soon as you realise you don't have one of your own and no one cares what you think anymore." The man's order arrived and he thanked the lady, still watching Tyler as he walked away. Tyler was eventually woken up very suddenly by a young man and his friends on their bikes laughing as they cycled past. He stretched, groaned, and rubbed his eyes as he woke up. "Hey, it's a pedo!" yelled one of the boys. Tyler ignored them and continued to stare at the car, not even realising they were referring to him as the taunts of perversion continued to be aimed at him. "Why are you taking pictures of kids, pedo?" yelled another one of the boys. Only then did Tyler realise the jabs were aimed at him. He fiercely looked at the boys, only encouraging them to further taunt and yell at him. For some reason, even though Tyler always considered himself good at ignoring things, something completely snapped inside of his mind. With a strong gust of ice-cold wind, as well as the unusual sensation of a burning tingle on the part of his head still facing the car, Tyler jumped up and ran over to it, aggressively ripping a piece of the driver's side door off. The boys continued to laugh and taunt him. They were stopped by Tyler running at them with the piece of burnt-out rust. They attempted to cycle away, but one of them was unfortunate enough to be successfully hit in the back of the head by Tyler throwing the piece of car, causing him to go flying off the bike and crashing onto the ground. The boys suffered no serious injuries, quickly getting back up and cycling away as he made sure not to say anything else so as to not irritate Tyler further. Tyler turned to resume staring at the car, only to realise all passers-by and people by the cafe restaurant were now staring at him in shock at what he had just done. Tyler made good of his escape, but not before snapping a picture of everyone's disgusted reactions. Once he returned to his flat, he continued his voyeuristic pleasure from the security of his balcony chair. Having fallen asleep on the balcony, firmly clutching his camera, Tyler had no dreams. He saw nothing but blackness for what felt like eternity before shooting up with a snort and accidentally hitting his knee against the bottom of the balcony table. Remembering why he was out there in the first place, he quickly held up his camera to take a picture of the car. There was nothing there. In desperation for something, Tyler ran inside and went into his darkroom, somewhat relieved that the photographs still developing their ghostly presence were making some progress. In need of a break, he took a shower and headed out. Instead of going to the car, Tyler went to Two Tree Island and back, taking the very same route he also saw the woman taking. He even took the accidental South End Central route home, making sure to miss all trains with their final destination as Shoebury Ness. Nothing. Defeated, He exited the station by narrowly walking through the barrier behind another patron, entered the last post, and dragged himself into a state of miserable drunkenness. The very same bouncer gave him the very same odd look he always did whenever he walked past. Not even 2 hours into the trip, Tyler began to lose count of the whiskies and garlic bread he was ordering to his table. He was eventually greeted by the bouncer with a falsely sincere and cruel smile on his grotesque face. "Right, Mr. Jones," said the bouncer. "Think you've had enough now?" "Ring... Grump... Fucking... Tell me..." muttered Tyler, barely able to form a sentence or be heard by the average human ear. "Come on now, mate, we don't have to kick you out with a band now, do we? You bold... fucking car-loving... fuck out of here." Tyler forced himself up and almost fell back into his chair due to his wobbliness. Now, you can fall face first into any puddle, mate, just not onto one of our tables," said the bouncer. The bouncer radioed for another member of staff to come and help him remove Tyler. Tyler attempted to verbally and physically refuse, but he was unable to comprehensively do so. As far as the bouncers could tell, the drunken Tyler was complying, although in his head and under his mindless, foul-breathed wording, Tyler was fiercely resistant and wanted to bite both men's genitals off before photographing them in all of their bloody glory. Unable to do anything, Tyler accepted his fate and fell flat onto his backside as soon as the bouncers released their grip on him outside. Chuckling at the man's misfortune, the bouncers walked back into the building, with Tyler forcing himself up and lunging headfirst into the door. Hearing this, the bouncer aggressively marched over to the door and forced it open, causing Tyler to fall back onto the ground. "You are barred!" yelled the bouncer as he pointed with his fat finger. "You get yourself in a fucking taxi and piss off back home, you slimy cunt!" The bouncer slammed the door shut, leaving Tyler to very sloppily force himself back onto his feet and stumble off into the night. He didn't even make it as far as the car park before almost falling, just managing to stop himself and hoist himself back up using one of the metal poles separating the car park from the street. He almost fell backwards immediately and the journey remained a blur. Once he reached the fountain park, he was brought out of his blackout state by a light shining in his face. "It's bloody Tyler Jones!" yelled a male voice with sarcasm. "What, a king in the land of peasants, eh?" said another male voice, also reeking of sarcasm. A female voice shushed the two men and told them to be quiet before asking Tyler where he lived. Western Cliff," slurred Tyler. "What's that, sorry?" asked the woman. Where's Clef?" Tyler's aggression caught the individuals off guard. They began to laugh and tease him while one of the male voices was convinced by the female voice to call Tyler a taxi. Tyler was encouraged to sit down and drink some of the female voice's water. He became hostile, almost attacking them in his thoughtless state of mind. They restrained him, which only caused him to become more aggressive. The taxi eventually arrived and the group forced Tyler inside. "Loved your piece on Lindsay, it was the fucking bollocks!" yelled one of the male voices before slamming the taxi door shut. Tyler found himself constantly drifting in and out of consciousness as the taxi began to drive. "Westcliff, right?" asked the cabbie. "Yes," said Tyler. "Cash or card, mate?" Cash or card? Crash, burning. Fucking cards, take me there. What? Car. Fucking seafront, scabies, slits. Fucking get us to the car. You... What are you saying, mate? The fucking car! Even though it took a few more attempts, the cabbie somehow managed to determine that Tyler was referring to the burned-out car on the Westcliff seafront. Despite still being in a mostly blacked-out state, Tyler regained some awareness as the taxi got closer to the car. He suddenly felt clear of mind and didn't feel remotely drunk. He looked out at the waves violently crashing against the beach wall as the taxi drove by. He felt a peace of mind and admiration for the sight, almost as if he himself was floating amongst the waves and slowly drifting out to sea, all his troubles becoming nothing. It was a feeling that he hadn't felt in a very long time. Tyler's ethereal state of mind was suddenly interrupted by the sound of boys yelling so loudly that they could be heard over the waves. A confused Tyler looked ahead and caught a glimpse of the same boys from earlier vandalising the car. "You alright, mate?" asked the cabbie. "You live around here, right? I'm sure you don't really—" "Pull over now!" "What?" "Not too close, just right here! Far enough away!" The cabbie reluctantly agreed and pulled in just far enough away that the boys didn't even notice as they became truly lost to their maniacal games. Tyler jumped out of the taxi without paying. He crouched down slightly and sneakily approached the boys, taking out his digital camera and snapping a flash photograph of them. The boys all got spooked and started jumping off and out of the car. "Get away from it, you little shits!" Tyler screamed. "Get away!" Frightened to death, the boys ran over to the bikes and tried to make good their escape. Tyler snapped another picture while making sure to capture the car in the corner of the frame. A sudden violent impulse overcame him. He ran up to one of the slower boys, and just as he got on his bike, Tyler kicked him off with such force that he flew towards the wall and hit it with a very loud thud. Tyler then pocketed his camera, lifted the bike up above his head, and prepared to throw it down onto the boy. "Just kill me, pedo!" yelled the boy. "Just do it!" Realising that the boy had been abandoned by his so-called friends and that he'd rather not have the burden of the boy's life on his shoulders, Tyler instead threw the bike over the wall into the sea, causing a loud splash in unison with the waves aggressively hitting the wall. The waves soaked the boy and mildly splashed Tyler. "Get the hell out of here!" yelled Tyler. "Freak!" yelled the boy as he quickly got up and ran away. Tyler watched the boy escape before turning to face the taxi. The cabbie's scared and shocked face was as clear as day. The look on Tyler's face was a scowl so dark, devilish and evil that, combined with his tired and dishevelled appearance, caused the cabbie to feel a chilling sensation like no other he had felt before. He quickly sped off, causing the back passenger door Tyler left open to swing shut. The taxi then disappeared into the night, leaving Tyler to enjoy the burned-out car on his own. Without even thinking about it, he forced the back passenger door open, threw himself onto the back seats, rolled onto his back, and began to drift off. He began to shake and shiver due to the intense coldness in the air around him. In an attempt to warm himself up, Tyler clenched his eyes shut as tightly as he could, undid his button and fly, and slowly began masturbating in the car. He enjoyed the combined sensation of the destroyed leather seating, his warm hand rubbing his shaft, and the cold air blowing on his bell end. Within minutes, he achieved a grotesque and messy climax like he had never felt before. He remained awake for hours before he finally drifted off to the sound of the tide slowly going back out. The next morning, Tyler, having slept no longer than an hour, shot up wide awake. He remembered very little about the previous night, not quite understanding how he ended up in the car or why his genitals were out for passers-by to see if they looked into the car. The door was also closed and would not open easily, prompting Tyler to very aggressively kick it open with force. He then sloppily made his way out and felt the intensity of his hangover as the cold air blew directly into his face and his still exposed penis. He quickly shoved it back into his pants and became disgusted by the semen stains on his trousers. Unfortunately for Tyler, he'd woken up just in time to be watched by the lady opening up the cafe as she stared at him in disbelief. Tyler put the woman off with a creepy glare, causing her to struggle to open the shutters without shaking and almost dropping her keys. Not caring enough about the woman, Tyler impulsively gave the car a kiss as if it were his wife before walking away. His actions caused one truly puzzled, very geeky man walking his dog to stare at him and hold the lead tighter as the disgusting-looking journalist walked past. Instead of going to bed, Tyler went straight into his darkroom. He was pleased to see that the ghostly images were slowly becoming more and more prevalent. Although he was too hungover to see it then and there, Tyler knew there was something familiar about the figure that was forming. He chose to ignore it and focused on printing the images he obtained from his digital camera. Since he was so sleep-deprived, cold, and had an especially bad headache, Tyler had to retry uploading the photographs a few times and fell asleep in an upright position while printing them. He eventually fell forward and smashed his head directly into the printer. In a state of panic, he frantically flailed about with more concern about whether or not the pictures were okay, as opposed to if he himself or the printer were undamaged. Satisfied with the photographs, he sat at his dining table to feed himself with more cigarettes and whiskey. He thought about things for a while, ignoring yet another call from Ronnie and finally remembering what happened when he last took a digital photograph that he printed off. The pictures did not colorise and nothing unusual became visible. Getting an interesting idea, Tyler set up his film camera and held the printed off pictures to perfectly frame, taking a film photo of them. He promptly returned to the darkroom and his theory was correct. Within moments of hanging the film prints, the images he took of the boys faded into colour. Underneath the car, as if they had been run over and become stuck with little more than a mangled pancake where their lower body once was, the ghostly image of a childlike figure faded into view. The photographs of the woman at Southend Central colorised, although nothing else appeared to happen. Tyler did a double take by comparing them to the photographs he took of the woman at Chalkwell. While there was no dark black slit around her neck, there were dark slits on the back of her ankles from the photograph taken of her walking up the steps of the subway, something that wasn't prevalent in the original Two Tree Island photographs. Intrigued, Tyler decided to finally call Ronnie back. "Hello," said Ronnie at high speed. "You've clearly been itching for someone to call you back," said Tyler. "Jesus Christ, mate, where the fuck have you been? You know how much I've been putting off updating them about you?" "Well, it's a good thing they don't know it's me, then." "Yeah, well, one of them does now, and he's pissed. Get down here right now!" "I haven't even checked if the trains are running. How did the show go?" "How do you think it went? My cousin was under the impression she was the most important thing in the fucking world, and everyone who was polite enough not to snicker and walk out was somehow dumb enough to fall for the whole 'we've got a better thing coming' excuse we gave them. Good news is, just sold out. Bad news is, I don't even know if you've actually got something I can fucking use to actually blow their minds away and make some money." "Will you relax, alright? I've got everything I need to please the audience, I'm sure." "Really? Because you sound like shit and I can smell you through the phone line," said Ronnie. "You better not piss me off, mate, because this has not been a good few weeks. My nan started crying because of you." "Because of me or because of you?" said Tyler slyly. "Because of the stress caused by you, and you better be nice to her when you get here. You understand, geez?" "I'm not nice to anyone." "Make a fucking exception, then!" Ronnie aggressively slammed the phone down. Tyler shook his head and sighed as if Ronnie was the unreasonable one. Before leaving, he poured another quintuple whiskey and sparked another cigarette, watching the car as he sucked the burning tobacco and further burned his throat with blended scotch. After wasting more time, Tyler finally finished the cigarette and the whiskey, jumped in the shower, and made his way to Benfleet.